How's it going, guys? My name is Tavarish, and today we are replacing my McLaren 675 LT's really broken frame with a frame that is less broken because a new one costs $14,000. If you couldn't tell by now, we're trying to do this on a budget. So if you guys are new to my channel, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy it, and consider subscribing if you like this kind of stuff. I am scared of all of this because this is the most I've ever taken apart a car. There is a car back there, I assure you. This used to be a 2016 McLaren 675 LT, and no, it is not parts. I'm putting it together, I swear. So today, we are going to be taking apart the old, really broken subframe, the part which took all of the impact from the back, and we're replacing it with one that took no impact from the back, but it does have some impacts on the side. Now, the reason why we're even doing this is because this entire series was sponsored by AutoTempest.com. You guys know that I use AutoTempest for everything, for all my car purchases. They are amazing. They take all the major car listing sites and put it into one search. If you want to be smart about your car purchases, definitely hit them up in the link in the video description below. In addition, I also have a series called Found on AutoTempest where I take the top 10 listings that you guys send me and I put them into a format where I can make fun of them or buy them because, yeah, that's it's apparently a thing that I do. So if you find any interesting listings, just send them my way at FoundOnAutoTempest@gmail.com. I'm gonna have a lot of different themes over the next few weeks, and maybe I'll find a theme that you guys suggest to me. If you have an interesting idea for a Found on AutoTempest series, maybe it's $5,000 sleepers, maybe it's luxury cars you can buy for 500 bucks, maybe it's supercars that are like this. You're probably not gonna find anything like this. In any case, send me those listings, FoundOnAutoTempest@gmail.com. Now, this is gonna be an interesting one because, well, I've never done this before, but it shouldn't be that hard. This is the old frame, and as far as I can tell, it is identical to the new frame, which I got used. Now, this frame is from a 2016 650S McLaren. This is from a 675 LT. They are very similar, other than a few small details, and we're gonna go over them right now. So joining me, as always, is my friend Jared. How you doing?
Very good. How are you doing?
So this is the old frame, and you guys have seen this before. There's a lot of damage. This got hit real hard and it bent a bunch of stuff and it cracked a bunch of stuff. Take a look at that damage. That was when the axle came forward and shot through the cast section of the frame. So that's nice and fun. The important bit is that these two are identical, but they're sort of identical in everything we need, like the big stuff, but the little stuff is not really the same, is it?
Now, there are just a couple really small tweaks that are relatively easy for us to fix. And if you were rebuilding one in your garage and you had a welder.
If you're rebuilding a 675 LT, if you get to the point where the car's like this, then just stop, get some help. What are we changing on these frames?
So, aside from transferring everything over to the new frame, there are a couple, these are what are called riv nuts. They're rivet nuts, where you're able to drill a hole and insert a thread cert is sometimes what they're also called. So we have the one riv nut on the side that is for the air brake and active wing. These two are dirty threads and we have no evidence of anything ever being bolted into them.
When the threads are dirty, just to kind of put a finer point on that, when you see that a hole has some dirt in it or some corrosion, usually it hasn't had a bolt in it for a while. If it did, you'll see that it's more like this, where the threads are a little cleaner. So these might be kind of vestiges of some other option that this car had, or maybe another car, I don't know, but these aren't exactly used, at least not for my car.
We may put them in so it is 100% accurate, or we may not. It depends. The other small change on these rear brackets this is torn off, but it would only have a lower reinforcement bumper mount where you compare the other one that has 4 holes.
Yeah, so this is like a bigger mount. The reason why is because the 650S actually has a bigger bumper brace, and since the 675 LT is a lightweight version, the bumper brace is only like about half of the size and half of the weight. Now, I'm not sure if that translates into better crash protection. I don't think it does, but
yeah, I don't think we needed the big bar back there.
I think the big bar could have made a difference. I think that we will just cut this, kind of make a template from that one, cut this right here, make the necessary holes, and then everything should line up. Now, I have done some measurements as far as length, and the length matches up perfectly with this, and everything else, all the other holes line up fine, other than right here. And it's not that they don't line up, it's just that they're sort of missing. So right here, you can see that riv nuts that were supposed to be there were ripped out, and that's because this car, or whatever car this frame came out of, suffered a bit of a side swipe, some side accident damage. Now, this entire piece is not bent. It is aluminum. It is a bit of a trapezoid, so if you guys think it's bent, you're wrong, it's not. Right here is another area of concern because the control arms just ripped out and they left behind these vestiges of bolts. Now, there are some easier ways to take this out, I'm told by Jared.
Yep, and that's what we're going to do. So you take a slightly oversized nut, hold it over the broken bolt, and we'll come in with a MIG welder with a fairly high heat and burn that, so that remnant of bolt will weld to that nut, and the heat will actually help loosen it as well. Works on rusty bolts, broken bolts, so.
Okay, and then we'll take this off. This is the tie rod end. It doesn't have any sort of steering in the back, but it does have some adjustment in the back. So after that, I am going to just offer up all the suspension to see that it bolts on exactly as it would, and it's not bent, it's not off kilter, and then hopefully we will have an assembled rear section ready to go on to that tub, and then I will worry about gluing the entire car back together.
What you been doing?
Practicing some welding. So I've never actually welded aluminum before, and I've always been very scared of doing it, but apparently it's really not that hard. It just takes a little bit of patience and also technique. So this is my first kind of foray into welding. Not the best, obviously, but I can probably do a structural thing where I'm just welding on a ground. So
I think that's admirable. You want to weld on your Mclaren, which is a good thing, but I didn't want him to immediately start on that, especially when we have this beautiful aluminum piece to practice. So if you want to practice at home, get scrap aluminum, the first thing you want to start on is what he was doing in this section, which is just learning what aluminum looks like when it starts to melt. Because with steel, it turns cherry red. Aluminum kind of goes from silver to slightly shinier silver, and then just blowing out through the bottom. So we had a couple practice runs of just learning how to control the pedal and then learning how to feed the metal. And then the moment we set the actual butt overlapping joint on, he hit it kind of out of the park. So this is a ground that the 675 LT had that didn't exist on the 650. Yes. So we just are transferring that bung quick and easy.
What I've learned is that it's very important to be comfortable and go over what you're welding. So, I mean, I'm not giving anybody welding tips. This is literally my first time doing this.
We found a stand to get a slightly better welding position. Grounds are ready. When you're welding aluminum or any AC welding thing, be careful touching your skin to the material, especially if you sweat. It gets a little shocking.
Oops.
Well,
I touched the electrode.
That is when the tip goes in.
Yep.
But even without that, that is
burned through it a little bit on the end, but I can fix that. So
that's extra credit there. What do you grade yourself?
A D minus.
D minus?
Yeah. I went a little fast here.
Yeah, a little too much heat where it burnt in, but it is connected.
Yeah, this should be fine.
A ground is going to connect. I mean, that is more substantial than the Mclaren. Well, let's see. Where's another one of? So there's what Mclaren makes it look like.
Yep.
Which.
Not super different, to be honest with you. But you know, for a first timer, I think it's good enough.
Now, you do agree that your initial plan of just grab the torch and start on this probably.
I would have figured it out. All right, so I think that's it for the fabrication part. Like the rest is just like installing rib nuts and stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right, now that we have the old frame completely stripped, well, not exactly completely, I still have to take out the tie rods. I didn't have the correct wrench for that. I'll have to wait a day to get the right tool. Everything else is taken off of that old frame and it's ready to be scrapped. And the new frame is looking really, really good. Jared did an amazing job with cleaning everything up. As far as some welding, there was some slight imperfections and we made sure that everything is as good as new. I made sure that all the bolts were in their correct holes, and we even got some bonus bolts. These were actually just vestiges of the old frame and the new frame, and we had some overlap, and we got some bonus bolts, which is always a good thing. It's not a good thing if you have bonus bolts when you didn't have extra parts. If you take a look down here, you'll see that these frame rails, they should line up with this underbody panel, and when I put it up like this, hole lines up there and hole lines up there, which means that this frame, at least side to side, is good and it's going to be straight. Now, I think I will put this on a jig just to make sure that it is within millimeters of where it should be. I want to make sure that this is as good as when it left the McLaren factory in the first place. So when you look over here, let's take that same panel, try to put it over here. Yeah, so one bolt lines up there, and then the other bolt, yeah, that's whew, that's a little off. But of course, we knew that already, and here, just in case people don't realize how badly this is bent, I'm looking straight down, and you can see this is just completely caved in. And right here, the same angle, this is just straight, straight, straight. I can't wait till this goes back in the car. So that's gonna be it for this episode. I'd like to thank Jared. He actually did have to leave, but he did a lot of work in this episode. He is the MVP after all. So in the next episode, I am going to be buttoning up that engine over there. I'm a little bit scared because I have to drill a hole, I have to tap it, I have to make sure that it's as good as new and it holds the engine up. That is gonna be a big deal. But hopefully we get everything done, and hopefully I don't have to buy another engine because those are really expensive. But until next time, this is me reminding you guys that on cars like these that don't look like cars right now, but they now have awesome new frames, you guys need to build it better, and to do that, you need to wrench every day.